So I have a lot of, I have a few points that are kind of scattered around, and I thought we were doing Chad Amud Aleph, so now I've got to find something from Chad Amud Bet to connect it to. So just a few points for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, high holidays, if you will, Yom Naraim. It's interesting, we talked about last Thursday of the year. There's a concept, and I'm going to quote my rabbi from home, Rabbi Marcus, on this, that there's a kasha.
My rabbi too.
Your rabbi too, your friend. There's a question in Kabbalah that's brought down that what's better? Is it to like have a perfect first week of the year or a perfect last week of the year? Oh. And where are you going? What's better for you? And the obvious answer, of course, is both. But the question is, when you're going into Rosh Hashanah, what does the last week of the year do for you? The last week of the year essentially fixes every prior week. At least up to this point, I have improved, right? So where was I going to relate this to Chad Amud Bet? That's a fantastic question, and I do remember where it was. Okay, so it's talking about at the end that you don't find bracha in something that's counted, right?
It has to be hidden.
It has to be hidden. So I think a lot of times, especially when you're davening, you go into Rosh Hashanah, you go into Yom Kippur, you're a little distracted by things that already happened to you. But those are things that are counted. You're not going to find a bracha there. But if you look forward to something that you don't know, the future you don't know, that's maybe where you can find the bracha. Maybe that's something that's worth praying for. And they say that when someone davens for, he's counting his, I think it's his grain, right? They say when he's counting his grain, he should pray beforehand. But if he's already started counting, it's all the less powerful. Once he's finished, there's nothing left to pray for. So don't look backwards, look forward. That's point number one. I want to just bring up point number two, which was originally my point number one, which I thought we were going to say when we got to Chad Amud Aleph, and hopefully I make an actual point out of this one. We talk about like the big sin of Jews is like a sinas chinam type of thing, ben adam l'chavero, and also on top of that when it comes to Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah, you have to ask forgiveness for things that are from your friends if you've done something wrong to them. You can't pray to God to forgive you on their behalf, right? So there's that story at the end of. More like in the middle of Chad Amud Aleph, where they talk about all the animals are gathered together sometime in the future, and they approach the snake, and they say, the lion kills and he eats, the wolf kills and he eats, and you just bite people and kill them, and what advantage do you have? And the snake responds, there's no advantage to the master of speech. Now I believe Rashi's interpretation of this is that it's supposed to be something. He's supposed to be the snake is being witty about people who say Lashon Hara. Snake's saying, what advantage people that say Lashon Hara, what advantage do they get out of it? And there's an interesting point to be made out of that where, you have to look at how you, hold on, there you go. When you do things in life, when you approach other people, especially when you come to Yom Naraim, you've got to think about what advantage you do actually get out of what you did, and where are the actions that you're doing, are they actually meaningful? Are they actually practical? Are they doing something, or are you just bringing someone down because no good reason, but your sarcastic response is, I got that guy, Is there, advantage to you, to use the Gemara's word? Final thought, and just because I saw the word atid in the story on Chad Amud Aleph, so there's also a story at the very end. The last line in Taanis. It's always interesting how the Gemaras, they like to end on a future happier note, or often at least. It's a song that I think we sing sometimes on Shalosh, but they're talking about how in the future all of the tzaddikim, God's gonna put them in a circle, so they're gonna point to God and say, "This is my God." And there's no, I'm kind of winging this one, but it's interesting. You see, talk about future thinking and doing things that you don't know if there's going to be an advantage to them. Either that's davening, or if you're doing something wrong and you don't think there's an advantage to them, which is like saying Lashon Hara or hurting your friends. But there's also that knowledge that you go to the future, if you do the right things, at one point you can point to this concept of godliness or God himself, if you will. Pointing at God is a little bit of a weird concept in Judaism, but you can say if you do the right things and if you look forward and you see the bracha in the future and you don't look in the past and you don't look at your failings but look to what you can improve upon, then eventually you can point to God and say, I did this and I became like that. So that's all I've got.